Welcome back to LiveWire News, where we explore the stories that shaped our world and the worlds before it. Today, we begin a brand new journey, a groundbreaking documentary series unlike any other we've done before. Just as we've uncovered the secrets of human civilization, ancient empires, and modern power, now we travel even deeper to a time before humans ever walked the earth. This is history before humans, the untold saga of our universe, our planet, and the mysterious forces that existed long before life began. Long before the first city, before the first tribe, before even the first cell, there was chaos, fire, and creation. From the birth of the universe in a flash of unimaginable energy, to the birth of our sun and the planet spinning in its light, every second of that ancient history wrote the blueprint for everything we know today. Over the next episodes, we'll uncover how the Earth was forged in cosmic violence, shaped by fire, frozen in ice, and struck by worlds from the stars. We'll meet alien oceans filled with monstrous creatures, explore the age when the sky turned purple, and witness the rise of oxygen that changed life forever. We'll travel through deep time, billions of years of forgotten ages, to discover how this tiny blue planet became alive, evolved, and prepared for the arrival of humans. Every rock, every drop of water, every breath we take, all are echoes from a time before us. To understand the world we live in, we must first understand the world before us. So today, we start a new chapter, a new series that will take you back to the very beginning of everything, a story written in stars, stone, and time itself. This is history before humans. And our journey to the dawn of existence begins now. There was nothing, no light, no sound, no space to hold anything at all. And then, in an instant shorter than a blink, everything exploded into being. From pure nothingness came time, matter, and the birth of every star that would ever shine. Imagine a universe smaller than an atom, yet hold in all the energy that would one day create galaxies, planets, and even you. It didn't just begin, it erupted with unimaginable force, a cosmic heartbeat that still echoes across the universe today. Billions of years before Earth, before the sun, before even dust itself, there was only fire, light, and creation. From a single flash came the dance of gravity, the birth of atoms, and the laws of physics that would shape all existence. Every atom in your body, every spark of life on Earth, every distant star in the night sky, all trace back to that one extraordinary moment, a moment when nothing became everything. This is not just science, it's the oldest story ever told, the origin of every story that would follow, the beginning of all history. A music swells slightly, glowing nebula visuals before we dive into the mind, bending secrets of that first moment, the instant when the universe woke up. Make sure to subscribe, like, and comment to join us on this journey through time itself, because from the birth of galaxies to the rise of life, we're about to uncover the greatest story ever written in the stars. In the beginning, there was nothing, no stars, no galaxies, no matter, not even space to hold a single breath of creation. And then in a single instant, everything changed. From a point smaller than an atom, a place where all the laws of physics collapsed into silence, came an explosion beyond imagination. It wasn't just an explosion in space, it was the explosion of space itself. The universe didn't expand into something, it created the very fabric of something from absolutely nothing. In that infinitesimal fraction of a second, pure energy ignited reality. Temperatures soared beyond comprehension, a trillion degrees, hotter than the core of any star that would ever exist. Time itself was born in that same breath. Before that moment, there was no before. The universe had no yesterday. This was the first no. As the universe erupted outward, expanding at unimaginable speed, faster than light, chaos reigned, energy swirled and danced in a cosmic storm of creation. It wasn't calm, it wasn't peaceful, it was violent, raw, and alive. In those first few moments, the universe was a sea of pure radiation. Particles flickered into existence, collided, vanished, and reappeared, a wild quantum storm. Space stretched, twisting and warping like a living thing. Gravity tried to hold on, but the expansion was relentless. The infant universe grew from the size of a pinhead to the size of a galaxy in less than a heartbeat. For a brief, blinding instant, the entire cosmos was a single flame. And yet, within that chaos, something extraordinary began to happen. Energy cooled ever so slightly. The furious fire softened just enough for order to take root. Tiny particles, quarks and gluons, began to join together, forming the first building blocks of matter. In less than 1 second, the laws of the universe took their seats. Gravity, electromagnetism, nuclear forces, all emerging from the raw fire of creation. It was as if the universe had written its own rulebook in light. The moment the first protons formed, the foundations of everything that would ever exist were set. Every star, every planet, every living being, all of it began here in this cosmic instant. But imagine what that must have looked like, if looked is even the right word. There were no eyes to see, no minds to wonder. The universe was nothing but a brilliant, endless storm of light and heat, expanding, cooling, transforming. Everywhere you are now, the air you breathe, the stars above you, the cells in your body, all of it was once part of that first furious breath of the cosmos. You were once energy racing outward with the birth of everything. As seconds passed, the universe continued to stretch, cool, and spread like a giant balloon inflating faster than thought. Matter and antimatter collided and destroyed each other in brilliant flashes of light, leaving behind only a tiny fraction of matter, just enough to build the galaxies, the stars, and the worlds to come. It's almost poetic to think everything we see around us, mountains, oceans, hearts, minds, exists because in those first few moments, matter won by the smallest possible margin, a fraction of a fraction. Had the balance been any different, everything would have vanished back into light. There would be no stars, no planets, no us. What began as a single point of nothingness became a vast, expanding ocean of possibility, a universe still stretching, still echoing with that first explosion. The Big Bang wasn't a moment that ended, it's a moment that never stopped. Every second of every day, the universe continues that same expansion, that same story. A story that started in silence and erupted into light. And when we look at the night sky, when we see a star billions of light years away, we're not just looking across distance, we're looking back through time, back to the very moment when nothing became everything. That is the true beginning of history. The moment when reality itself was born and time took its first breath. Darkness. For hundreds of thousands of years after the birth of the universe, that was all there was. A vast, invisible ocean of energy, hot, dense, and blindingly chaotic. Yet, ironically, not a single ray of true light could travel freely. The newborn universe was still wrapped in its own fog, a thick plasma of protons, electrons, and photons, colliding endlessly, scattering every flicker of light before it could ever escape. It was a universe alive with fire, yet completely blind. But change was coming. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the universe began to cool. The furious heat that once filled all existence started to fade. The ocean of chaos thinned. Particles that had been too energetic to stay together began to slow down, to connect, to bond. For the first time, the wild plasma began to calm, and in that calm, light found its voice. Imagine it, the entire universe expanding and cooling like the breath of a sleeping giant. As temperatures fell below 3,000 degrees, protons and electrons joined hands, forming the first neutral atoms, mostly hydrogen, with a whisper of helium. And in that instant, the fog lifted. Light, after hundreds of thousands of years of struggle, was finally free. That light, that first light, still travels across the universe today. We see it not with our eyes, but with our instruments as a faint, ancient glow called the cosmic microwave background. It is the oldest photograph of reality itself, the baby picture of the universe. When we look at it, we're seeing the moment when the cosmos opened its eyes for the very first time. The universe that had been a storm of violence now began to settle into structure. Tiny ripples in that first light, slight differences in density barely noticeable, would one day become galaxies, stars, and everything we know. Each flicker of brightness in that cosmic afterglow was a seed, the beginning of a billion suns yet unborn. It's almost impossible to imagine the beauty of it. No stars, no planets, no life, only endless space, newly visible, glowing faintly with the remnants of its own birth. A soft golden fog filling the heavens, stretching in all directions. The universe was finally transparent, open, and visible for the first time in history. That was the moment light claimed its throne. Every beam, every photon traveling across the cosmos today, every sunrise, every glint on an ocean wave, all of it traces back to that first liberation of light. From this point on, the universe was not just expanding, it was illuminated. Over time, gravity began its quiet work, pulling the scattered hydrogen into great cosmic clouds. Invisible threads began to weave between them, forming the first dark filaments of structure, the skeleton of the universe. Within those vast clouds, light would soon find a new home, in the hearts of newborn stars. But at this stage, the universe was still pure potential, a vast silent canvas waiting for creation to begin painting again. And yet in its silence, there was music, the faint afterglow, still singing in microwaves, still humming with the memory of its first breath. Every corner of the sky carries that song, a constant whisper of the moment light first broke free. Scientists have measured it, mapped it, listened to it. It tells us that the universe is 13.8 billion years old and that the memory of its first light still echoes all around us. Even now, in the static of an old radio, in the faint background hiss between channels, that isn't just noise, that is creation itself still speaking. From the darkness came the fire. From chaos came clarity, and from that blinding birth of light came the foundation for everything that would follow, every star, every world, every life form that would one day look up and wonder where it all began. That single moment when light escaped its prison was the first sunrise the universe had ever seen, and it would never go dark again. In the beginning, the universe was a storm of energy, wild, expanding, unshaped. Matter existed, but it had no order. Space existed, but it had no form. It was a masterpiece without rules, a story without structure, but then something extraordinary began to happen. Order emerged from chaos. As the fire of creation began to cool, the first laws of the universe awoke. They weren't written in stone or carved by hand. They were woven into the very fabric of existence itself. Out of that unimaginable heat and energy Forces appeared, invisible threads pulling, pushing, balancing everything that would ever be. One of the first was gravity, a silent architect, unseen yet unstoppable. It reached across the newborn cosmos, drawing matter together, whispering the promise of stars and galaxies to come. It would become the invisible hand shaping the universe, binding light, gas, and dust into the celestial bodies that would one day fill the night sky. Alongside gravity came electromagnetism, the spark of energy and motion. It would one day ignite every lightning bolt, every shining atom, every star's nuclear fire. And then there were two more, the strong and weak nuclear forces, delicate, precise, yet unimaginably powerful. They governed the hearts of atoms, the engine rooms of stars, and the very process of creation itself. Together, these four fundamental forces became the pillars of reality, the eternal laws upon which all existence rests. But it wasn't enough for the universe to simply have laws. Those laws had to cooperate. Gravity could pull matter together, but without electromagnetism, there would be no atoms. Atoms could form, but without nuclear forces, they could never fuse, never burn, never shine. Every part depended on every other. It was a cosmic symphony, perfectly tuned. For a few moments after the Big Bang, these forces were one, fused in the pure fire of creation. But as the universe cooled, they separated like colors splitting from a beam of white light. Each took on its own role, its own balance, its own destiny. This was the true birth of physics, the writing of the rules that would govern everything from the fall of an apple to the orbit of a galaxy. And somewhere, woven among these forces, came another silent creation time. Before this, there was no before, no after, only existence frozen and undefined. But when the universe began to expand, time began to move, one second following another, building the rhythm that would carry all of history forward. From that moment on, time flowed endlessly, a one-way river that could never turn back. It measured the age of stars, the rise and fall of worlds, the heartbeat of eternity. Every second that passes today, every clock that ticks, every sunrise that comes and goes is part of that same flow that began when the universe first breathed order into chaos. As these forces spread, the universe began to take on a shape, not random but intentional, guided by invisible mathematics written deep into the core of everything. Energy became matter. Matter formed patterns. Patterns became galaxies. Even in the smallest particle, the laws of the universe ruled with absolute precision. They allowed stability, yet invited change. They allowed chaos, yet protected balance. It was as if the universe had designed itself to not only exist, but to endure. And though it had no mind, no voice, no design in the human sense, everything that would ever happen, every future moment, every possibility was already contained within these laws. From this moment forward, the universe would obey them forever. Stars would burn according to their rules. Planets would spin within their boundaries. Life, when it finally arrived, would rise and fall within their limits. Even now, billions of years later, those same forces are still at work, shaping, stretching, binding, and breaking. The pull you feel when you drop something, the warmth of the sun on your skin, the very atoms that make up your heart all still answer to the same cosmic laws born in that moment. They are the language of creation. They are the blueprint of everything. And in their quiet precision lies the greatest mystery of all, how a universe born from chaos learned to obey itself. The universe had laws now, rules written in fire, energy, and time, but it was still young, restless, and endlessly hungry for space, and then it began to stretch, not like the spreading of smoke and air, not like a ripple on water. This was something far more extraordinary. The universe wasn't expanding into space, it was creating space itself. Everywhere, in every direction, reality began to unfold. Distances grew, time stretched, and the tiny, dense fireball that had once held all of existence within a point smaller than an atom now swelled into a cosmic ocean. In the first fractions of a second, the expansion was violent, faster than the speed of light itself. Galaxies, stars, and atoms did not yet exist. There was only raw energy, matter still forming, carried outward on the swelling tide of creation. This wasn't chaos anymore. It was growth. It was the universe becoming. As space stretched, it carried everything within it, not objects moving through space, but space itself expanding around them. Imagine a painting not being drawn larger, but the canvas beneath it endlessly growing, carrying every color, every line outward with it. This era would come to be known as cosmic inflation, a moment so brief, yet so powerful, it shaped everything that would ever follow. Within trillionths of a second, the universe went from subatomic to cosmic, a transformation so extreme it defies imagination. What began smaller than a grain of dust grew larger than an entire galaxy cluster. It's as if the universe took a single breath, and that breath became eternity. And yet, in that unimaginable expansion, something vital happened. The universe smoothed out. The wild irregularities, the dense clumps and chaotic waves of energy were stretched so vast that the young cosmos became astonishingly uniform. Still, there were slight imperfections, tiny ripples, 1 part in 100,000, minute differences in density that remained scattered through the fabric of reality. Those faint ripples were destiny, because those were the seeds of everything. Every galaxy, every cluster of stars, every solar system, even our own Milky Way, was born from those ancient ripples. Without them, there would have been no structure, no beauty, no life. The universe would have been nothing more than endless, empty light, but those imperfections, those whispers of chaos, gave the cosmos texture. They became the fingerprints of creation itself. As expansion continued, the universe cooled further. Matter and energy thinned out, stretched beyond recognition. The once dense fog of particles became an open sky of possibilities. And even now, billions of years later, that expansion has never stopped. Every second, galaxies drift farther apart, carried by the silent growth of the very space between them. The universe is still breathing out. When you look at the stars tonight, when you gaze at the soft glow of the Milky Way, you're seeing islands of light adrift in that same expanding sea. And just like everything else, even we are passengers on that wave, moving outward forever. Scientists once believed the universe might slow down, that gravity might pull it all back together, collapsing it in a grand reversal, a big crunch. But the more we learned, the stranger it became. Instead of slowing, the expansion is speeding up. Something invisible, something mysterious, we call it dark energy, is pushing the universe apart faster and faster. No one knows exactly what it is, only that it dominates everything, shaping the fate of all that exists. It means that one day, far in the future, galaxies will drift so far apart that their light will no longer reach each other. The universe will grow silent again, vast, cold, and dark. But that is still to come. Right now, we live in the age of light, in the golden middle between the beginning and the end. A universe still expanding, still glowing, still alive with the echoes of its birth. Every sunrise, every starlit night, every beam of light traveling across billions of years, all of it rides on the same expansion that began in that first cosmic moment. The Big Bang wasn't just a single explosion. It was, and still is, the universe in motion, a living, growing fabric of time and space stretching into infinity. And as it expands, it carries our story, the story of everything, with it. The storm of creation had passed. The universe, once blazing and violent, had stretched wide and cooled enough for calm to finally take root. For the first time, there was space to breathe, and within that space, the first matter began to take form. Out of the wild sea of energy and radiation, the simplest elements were born, not crafted by stars, for there were no stars yet, but by the universe itself. In that silence, where light drifted freely for the first time, atoms began to emerge. Hydrogen, the simplest, most abundant element in existence, was the universe's first child. Just one proton, one electron, perfectly balanced, perfectly simple. It filled the newborn cosmos like a vast invisible mist. Every hydrogen atom was a fragment of that original explosion, a relic of creation's first breath. Then came helium, light but noble, formed when two protons and two neutrons locked together under unimaginable heat. A tiny fraction of the universe's mass fused into this second element, along with traces of lithium, a whisper of what would one day form the building blocks of everything solid. At first glance, it may seem small, just three simple elements in a boundless ocean, but within them lay the blueprint of everything to come. Every star, every planet, every breath of air, every drop of water, every living thing, all trace their origins to those first atoms born in the cooling heart of the cosmos. The process was delicate, a balance between creation and destruction. For a brief window of just minutes after the Big Bang, the temperature and density of the universe were perfect for nucleosynthesis, the cosmic forge that welded protons and neutrons together. But as the universe expanded and cooled further, that window closed forever. No new elements could form. The fire of creation dimmed, leaving behind a universe filled with light, but quiet, a vast expanse of darkness, gas, and possibility. It was an age without stars, no galaxies, no suns, just a dark universe filled with the soft hum of hydrogen and helium stretching endlessly in every direction. Yet even in that darkness, the seeds of light were waiting. Tiny fluctuations, the faint ripples left behind by the early expansion, began to tug on the clouds of gas. Gravity, ever patient, began its slow, silent work. Atoms that had drifted apart began to drift back together. The invisible hand of gravity drew them closer, forming great clouds vast as galaxies yet still unseen. As millions of years passed, these clouds grew denser, heavier, hotter. In their centers, atoms collided faster and faster until something extraordinary happened. Fusion ignited. For the first time since the Big Bang, the universe shone again. The first stars were born, colossal, brilliant, and short-lived. Their light pierced the darkness that had lasted hundreds of millions of years. Inside their fiery hearts, hydrogen fused into helium, releasing blinding energy and giving birth to new, heavier elements: carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, iron, the very ingredients of life. These first stars were not like the ones we see today. They were giants, hundreds of times larger than our sun, burning furiously and dying young. When they exploded, their deaths were spectacular. Supernovae ripped across the dark cosmos, scattering the elements they had forged into space and reaching the gas clouds that surrounded them. From those ashes, new generations of stars were born, smaller, steadier, longer lived. Around them, dust began to swirl. Planets took shape, moons formed, and the architecture of galaxies began to appear. like constellations in the making. But all of it, every world, every atom of you, began in that early silence when hydrogen and helium first appeared in the cooling glow of the newborn universe. The air you breathe was once part of that ancient mist. The iron in your blood was born in the death of a star that could only exist because of those first atoms. Every element that builds you, every cell, every thought can trace its ancestry back to that brief, golden moment when the universe learned to create matter. From the void came particles. From particles came atoms. And from atoms, the promise of everything that would one day shine live and dream. The universe had taken its first step toward complexity. The stage was set. The lights were kindling in the cosmic dark. The story of creation was only just beginning. The universe had expanded, cooled, and filled itself with the first atoms. The quiet breath after the greatest storm in history. The chaos was fading now. The violent birth had given way to calm. The fire had softened to warmth. But one final masterpiece remained, a message from creation itself. As the universe cooled to just a few thousand degrees, light once trapped in a fog of particles was finally set free. The glow of that release filled every corner of existence, a silent echo of the very beginning. This light was not like the light of stars, for stars had not yet been born. It was softer, older, deeper. The afterglow of creation, that ancient light still surrounds us even now. Invisible to our eyes, it fills the sky, bathing the cosmos in a faint, eternal warmth. Scientists call it the cosmic microwave background, but in truth it is something far more poetic. It is the memory of the universe's first light. Every direction we look, this glow is there, the same everywhere, perfectly balanced, stretched across space and time. It is the last whisper of the Big Bang, still traveling, still shining, still telling the story of how everything began. If you could see it, you'd witness the universe as it was nearly 14 billion years ago. A soft orange, red haze, glowing evenly in all directions. And within that glow, hidden in faint ripples of temperature and density, lie the fingerprints of everything that would come next. Those tiny variations, just a millionth of a degree warmer here, a fraction cooler there, became the scaffolding of reality. Gravity clung to those ripples, matter gathered upon them. And from those slight imperfections, the first galaxies would one day be born. The universe was only 380,000 years old then, still an infant, but already holding the blueprint for all of time. Every cluster of stars, every spiral galaxy, every world that would ever orbit a sun, all of it began as a whisper in that faint, ancient light. When scientists first detected it in the 1960s, by accident, they heard it not as light, but as a hum, a hiss of static that refused to fade. They pointed their instruments at the sky, at the ground, even at nearby cities, thinking it was interference. But no matter where they turned, the signals was the same. It wasn't noise, it was the voice of the universe itself. That soft static, that faint hum, was the echo of the first light, stretched and cooled over billions of years, whispering from every corner of space. And even today, if you tune an old television or radio between channels, a small part of that background noise, that faint hiss, is the afterglow of the Big Bang still reaching you. Every moment, every second, you live surrounded by the light of the beginning. It passes through you, through the air, through the world, constant, gentle, eternal. The universe still remembers its birth. And when you look up at the night sky, at the cold stars and the deep black between them, you're not just looking into space. You're looking into time. You're seeing the last flicker of the moment when darkness first became light. It's humbling to realize we are not simply living in the universe. We are living inside the memory of its creation. The first light still shines. The story of the beginning still echoes. And though billions of years have passed, that ancient glow connects us to everything that has ever existed and everything that ever will. Music swells softly, a slow crescendo of cosmic wonder. This is how it all began, from nothing to everything. The explosion that created space, time, matter, and the first light that still glows around us. And as that glow faded and the universe slipped into its first true darkness, something incredible began to stir in the silence. The age of darkness would not last forever. In that deep, endless night, the first stars were preparing to ignite, to pierce the void and bring brilliance back to the cosmos. Fade to black text appears on screen, next on history before humans, the first light of creation, the birth of stars.